Hello and welcome to Climate Check with me, Meru Mwikisa. Now they say water is life. And so today on the program, our theme is around environmental rights and water. And we will focus on some of the challenges that the freshwater systems face in Zambia and how you and I can play a part to be the solution. This is Climate Check. We take a short break and hear from our sponsor. Welcome back to Climate Check. We now delve directly into our focus of the day, which is water. And of course, it is an environmental right. Now, joining me in studio is Ms. Beauty Mbale, who is Freshwater Program Lead at WWF Zambia. Thank you so much for always being available to feature on Climate Check.
It's always a pleasure.
All right. Now, before we talk about the subject of the day, talk to me about the Zambia Water Exhibition Forum that is happening currently in Lusaka, because it's very important and it's a huge aspect of our topic today.
Yes, thanks. So the Zambia Water Exhibition Forum, popularly known as ZAWAFE, is taking place. The official opening was today, and will go on until the 12th of June under the theme that talks about integrating solutions for sustainable development with a focus on the food, energy, water nexus. But also with skewed towards more the ecological integrity. While we have the water, the energy, and the food, how do we then ensure ecological integrity? And it's basically also, it underpins what we're talking about having this rights-based approach towards communities having access to water resources.
Okay. Now, let's talk about our focus for today, which is environmental rights and specifically water. What is the current state of fresh water sources in Zambia?
So we are a country that's blessed with water resources. We have 6 catchments. We have the Zambezi River that originates from Zambia itself. We have the Kafue, which is, I think, the bedrock of our economy and sustenance. And also the Luangwa, just to mention the 3 of those 6, which is a hive of our wildlife. And so what you find actually is, in as much as we have this seemingly abundant water resources over the years, what has been happening is, of course, because our need to grow and develop, we have had challenges with securing the quality and quantity of our water. We as WWF over the years have seen and have actually expressed concern about also the degradation of the ecosystems, especially around the headwaters of these major rivers as well. Okay.
And as an organization, what are you doing around protection of these headwaters and the sources of fresh water in Zambia?
So the WWF Freshwater Program has been working in support of government, communities, and the private sector in really trying to see, first of all, can we support efforts to protect these water resources? We have supported government with mapping of key areas that are viable for what we call water resources protection under the Water Resources Management Act. Of course, we also work because our water resource is also a very good source for our fish, and which also promotes our food security. We have also been supporting government, and we supported them in the development of the fisheries and aquaculture policy, under which we also then see aspects of protection? Are we able to then have some of these breeding areas declared as fish protected areas? And so even in the Environmental Management Act, there has been a focus on protection. However, because the globe is also moving, as I think even following COP CBD,
yes,
where we had globally an agreement to say, look, our environment and our biodiversity, we're still reducing, regardless of the many conference of parties that we're having and all of those. So there was this drive towards, are we able to halt the biodiversity loss and conservation and be able to restore.
Okay.
So even as the freshwater program, as the world and country moves towards, of course, protection and restoration, we are seeing and supporting more and more efforts towards restoring these key ecosystems.
Okay. What are some of the major threats to our sources of fresh water?
The major one is us, human beings.
Unfortunately. And yet we need the water the most.
Yes, exactly. Because of our drive to develop, our drive to really meet our needs, we tend sometimes not to manage our water resources very well. But then also, I think it's the fact that we as human beings have not really realized the actual value of water. So we as WWF also support efforts towards what we call natural capital accounting. We need to establish what the value of these water resources is and the other natural resources in order for us to be able to know that if I waste this water, I'm wasting whatever 1,000 kwacha.
Yes,
you know?
to attach value to it.
Yes, to attach value to it, because I think that's also the way that the only way that we would. Another key effect has been the climate variability, climate change itself. We're seeing more floods, we're seeing more drought. We're just coming off from a drought, which saw a lot of damage to us from our food security, our energy insecurity, because even up to now we have still significant hours of load shedding.
Load shedding, yes.
And so we find that even just climate change itself has been a key factor. I think industrialization, the fact that we've had over the years this land use and land cover change, because where you, for instance, you had a marshland, you have developed, and so you don't have a lot of water that is percolating and being cleaned out.
Yes.
So you find that even urbanization, industrialization has been a major component, because now, I mean, I'm not really sure how many statements we've seen, or from the pollution of the Kafue. When we last talked, we were talking about the major pollution that had happened there. But since then, we've had, I think, is it 2 or 3 more incidences?
Yes.
So that's also a big threat to our water resources.
How can we ensure that industries can still thrive, but at the same time protect our water, our fresh water sources in Zambia, especially what happened in the Kafue River? And as a country, we're targeting to increase our copper production to 3 million metric tons by 2031, which means more mining activities, more threats to our water system. How can the two coexist?
I think it's also important to know that as a developing country, we do need development.
Yes.
The key aspect is how do we then bring companies to the table to then be able to, I think, go beyond just the production and look at how can they produce sustainably. A major part of the work that WWF is doing is actually private sector engagement, because what we've realized is that companies, industries are not really the enemy when it comes to water resources, but when we are talking about water stewardship, they are quite key players. So in their processes, as they are producing their product, are they able to then install safer modes of production. For companies that work in the mines, are they able to pre-treat the water? You know, and are they able to then also ensure that they put in measures that might not be seen as economical for them, but that are good for the greater good, that are important for the greater good. I think one other aspect is the enforcement. So government has, from my perspective, very conducive legislation. I think it's the enforcement that just needs to be tightened a little bit more.
Okay.
Another key aspect is us, the communities themselves. How careful or how mindful are we of our environment? Are we able to detect if, for instance, there's pollution that's happening, and what can we do? So there has to be a bit more of the communities themselves, us as people being able to, I think, get our act together so that we're part of the solution to all of these problems that are happening.
All right. Thank you so much for finding time to speak to us on Climate Check and just reminding us that we should endeavor to be a part of the solution. We need the water and we can't do without it, so we need to protect it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much.
All right. This is Climate Check. We take a short break. Join me on the other side. Welcome back to Climate Check. Now, earlier on, we had an opportunity to attend the meeting where the Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Mike Mposha, had a meeting with the head of a European Union delegation to Zambia and COMESA, Her Excellency Carolina Stasiak, and they discussed various issues around environmental protection and climate change. And in the same vein, the minister also met with the World Bank Group to discuss areas of cooperation in addressing climate change, environmental degradation, and biodiversity loss. Here is a report. Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Mike Mposha, says government has actively responded to environmental pollution incidents nationwide, such as the recent pollution affecting the Kafue River. Mr. Mposha was speaking during a partnership dialogue with the European Union head of delegation to Zambia and COMESA, Carolina Stasiak.
I wish to take this opportunity to acknowledge the cordial relationship that exists between the Republic of Zambia and the European Union. This relationship, Your Excellency, continues to play a pivotal role in addressing the negative impacts of climate change.
The €500 million partnership is aimed at enhancing various sectors of Zambia's economy.
Of key importance to the European Union, as this is part of our core values, of our core mission, and of our DNA, if I may say so. The EU continues to play a leading role globally on sustainability and climate action. And this priority is also represented or reflected here in our partnership with Zambia. The EU and the member states are engaged on many fronts, like you mentioned already, Honourable Minister. We collectively continue to support the government of Zambia, and the Zambian private sector in a number of priority areas related to green and digital transformation, such as circular economy, clean energy, water, skills development, forests, innovation, and access to finance for small and medium enterprises.
Meanwhile, Mr. Mposha later met a delegation of the World Bank Group to discuss areas of cooperation in addressing climate change, environmental degradation, and biodiversity loss.
I also recognize support that the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, received from the bank through the closed Zambia Mining and Environmental Remediation Improvement Project, which was aimed at reducing environmental health risks in critically polluted mining areas. The project contributed to improve the technical and institutional capacity of ZEMA for environmental monitoring and compliance.
And the World Bank Group Regional Practice Director for Sustainable Development and Climate Change, Anna Wellenstein, pledged continued support towards the many World Bank funded projects in Zambia.
Really, my compliments to the country. It's not common, and it's a real delight to see and makes us proud to support. So these are your initiatives, your vision, and the World Bank is really happy to be here to be a support for Zambia and its accomplishments.
Mary Mwekisa for Climate Check. Also on the program, the Ernst & Young EY Zambia launched their third sustainability report under the theme Value Beyond Compliance. We were privileged to have been invited to this event, and here are the highlights.
This year, our report is anchored on a clear and timely theme: Value Beyond Compliance. Value beyond compliance. Why the theme? Simply, the landscape has shifted. Sustainability is no longer a peripheral concern or a branding exercise. It is now a strategic imperative with real-world implications for competitiveness, investment, risk management, socio-economic development, and trust. It is about performance, it is about purpose, and ultimately, it is about value. In that spirit, this report does three things. First, it captures Zambia's progress in embedding sustainability at institutional and enterprise levels. We highlight commendable developments such as the Green Economy and Climate Change Act, the rollout of the Green Growth Strategy, and growing number of companies voluntarily aligning with the sustainability reporting standards of IFRS S1 and S2.
I stand here proud in knowing that Zambia is amongst the 31st countries that have actually adopted the sustainability standards on a global scale, and for that I believe we deserve a hand. What this then does is it puts us in a very good position. It doesn't mean we have all the answers, but we are at the forefront of adopting IFRS S1 and S2. And this, as a nation, puts us in pole position with other countries, because then we were able to demonstrate that we have accountability and transparency, and these are very key for attracting international investment.
It is a great honor to join you this morning for the launch of the EY Zambia 2024 Sustainability Report, which is the third sustainability report by the firm, and for that milestone, we commend you. On behalf of the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, allow me to begin by acknowledging the incredible work that has gone into delivering this report. Also, we acknowledge the consistency in publishing the sustainability reports and the depth of the research attest to EY's commitment to advancing sustainability reporting and climate change initiatives in Zambia and globally.
Welcome back to Climate Check. Now, lastly on the show, Care for Nature Zambia last week held a children's summit, and this was a prelude to the World Environment Day that was commemorated on June 5, 2025. And of course, our staffer, Dominic Davis Chifumbe, covered the summit.
Climate change is one of the major issues that is affecting the world, and Zambia has not been spared. Now, from the background, you can tell that there's actually an exhibition going on, and Care for Nature Zambia has cared enough to ensure that they also include the children, to ensure that this information is disseminated to the young kids as well, so they carry on the fight against climate change.
Climate summits are crucial for forging international agreements and driving global climate action. They provide a platform for countries to negotiate and agree on how to tackle climate change reduce emissions, and build resilience to its impacts. Care for Nature Zambia held a children's summit. Executive Director Nsama Kins highlights the objectives of the summit.
When we have drought like what we experienced, Zambia had to declare a national emergency in February because of the drought which affected the southern parts of the country. And children were affected because their right to food could not be fulfilled, their right to nutrition. So when we looked at how climate change is impacting on the rights of children, we decided to look at another important right of the child, which is the right to participate.
Minister of Green Economy and Environment Mike Mposha was the guest of honor at the event. He was represented by Director Green Economy and Climate Change, Ephraim Shitima.
My office will be happy to receive more information on this council to be established today so that we can work hand in hand with the children through our Technical Committee on Climate Change created under the Green Economy and Climate Change Act number 18 of 2024. To you, our dear children, let me assure you that as government, we are here to listen to your concerns because we understand that you are among the most vulnerable to impacts of climate change. Yet, your voices are often underrepresented in policy discussions.
Meanwhile, a representative of the Parliamentary Caucus on Climate Change also spoke at the event.
What is exciting today for me is we've brought in a very important element in the fight against climate change and the mitigation thereof, the young people.
Securing the future of every child through climate action. This theme is not just a slogan or a campaign message. It is a call to integrity, and it is a call for declaration of intent, and above all, it is a moral imperative.
Significant events where children are going to really dialogue, talk to their leaders, talk to the lawmakers that are available, and we really support such events. From another perspective, as Save the Children, we are working throughout the country.
Children are most vulnerable to climate change impacts, yet are not fully part of the decision-making process regarding their welfare. Let us push this agenda and save our children. Dominic Davis Chifumbe, reporting for Climate Check in Lusaka.
We've come to the end of Climate Check for this week. Make a date with us next week, same time, same channel, as we continue to discuss issues around the protection of planet Earth. My name is Mary Mwikisa. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.